over 9 hours a day of ag programming and 2 hours every Saturday. Deliver your message to the agricultural decision makers who depend on radio every day. WTIM, AM, FM, and online deliver results that digital simply can't match. Visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com to learn more.
WTIM. Good morning, Central Illinois, and welcome to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and our first guest this morning is the facilitator of the Christian County CEO program, Neil Hohenstein. Neil, thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Reed. It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back, and good to have you back in front of me, because I think I was out sick the last time you were in. So yes, it is good to have you back. I know the CEO program is a popular program at the school. I think we have you folks in just about once a month, and there's a lot with the program. Of course, I know hearing about it, and I'm sure you and the students feel the same way. So even though it's the summer, I'm sure there's a lot going on. What's the summer kind of like for you with the CEO program?
Sure. So the board still meets monthly. So we just had our last board meeting a couple of weeks ago. So we're still handling business, still dealing with money, and then all the things that go on to make the program go year round. So other things, now seating the new students for the upcoming class, but we had a facilitator retreat recently up in Kankakee, Illinois. So that was a 2-day retreat. And between that, and we've got a couple of business things to take care of. We need to wind down our checking account for last year's class, and we're going to create that annual report that we give out to investors and people that are just interested in the program. So the business is kind of wind down, but we still have things that keep us busy.
Yeah, and I know the investor side of things and like kind of keeping them tied in, like that's got to be an important part of it. So that way, the program and, the students' businesses can function, I would imagine.
Yeah. So from an investor standpoint, there's no cost to any of the students. So we seek investors, and we have some great partners, some great investors, many of them now for over a decade, that believe in the program and what we're doing and how we're able to help students and kind of guide and direct and lead them, and then turn them into just help them become better versions of themselves. So we do that, and part of that pays some of the ancillary costs of running CEO, and then part of that goes to my salary as well. So the investors, it's kind of related to what the students are doing, but they raise their own money in order to pay themselves for their individual business. And, I mentioned the annual report. That'll be something that they pay for all on their own as well. So.
Okay, so you got the annual report, sharing that with the investors. Anything else big going on for you over the summer before it gets started?
Just trying to plan, and so from the facilitator retreat, we get lots of great ideas, things that we can incorporate. Obviously, AI was one of the big topics and just ways to help students think about that a little differently and how that's going to work with them as they go forward past their senior year of high school, to where you're not just using it as a glorified Google search engine. So actually having it help you to do actual work and to plan, and just realizing that everyone's going to be using that. So how can you get better at doing that? And that was actually some of the conversation that we had at the retreat. Doug Vilhard came in and did a demonstration. Of course, agentic is the new kind of buzzword of how you could make these large language models work for you, as opposed to just asking it a question about, write a 3-page paper on Caesar.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, that's cool. And I'm curious if any of the projects last year sort of tapped into AI, if even slightly at all.
Yeah, so they did. So we were using them to help generate ideas, and basically every part of what you would think of as starting a business, from ideation to the very end, where we're calculating income and income statements from that, and just the business plan as well. So if they're not using those tools, they're going to be replaced not by the tool, but by somebody else that knows how to use it a little bit better than you. So how can you use that to help come up with an income statement, a balance sheet, or how can you use that as a partner to help come up with a business idea, or look for pitfalls potentially that you don't have to learn the hard way. So we used it at all different levels. So we would actually, and anything that I was using it for, I've been in love with it since it came out. I'm showing them what I'm doing and how I'm interacting with it. And then, like, let's try it ourselves, because like anything else, it takes a little bit of practice to get it the way you want. And so we're using it at all facets.
Yeah, and I know I've needed the practice too for everything I've used it for too. So yeah, that's what the summer looks like for you in terms of the students. So do you have the class, like essentially the roster of students figured out for next year?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Yep. So we're varied again. We're going to be at 16 students again. We're generally we're Taylorville heavy, and it's open to any school in our county. So Taylorville heavy, but we also have representatives from Pana. We'll have Morrisonville this year, and yeah. So we're represented all throughout the county. So it'll be a good diverse class, and we're anxious to seat that next class and get to work with them.
Okay, so yeah, so Taylorville heavy. Are there any openings, or is it all full?
No, we're full. We're
Okay.
ready. We're ready for school. Matter of fact, we will have an orientation on August 10th. And basically that just it's an open invite for parents and students, just to give them an idea, since, this is a little bit different than what you experience from a traditional classroom setting. We invite parents and students in. There's a nice meal. There'll be some people that will talk about CEO Mary. She's our president. She will speak a little bit about the value system, and then just kind of where we've come from on it. And then basically what to expect, the work that's expected, the workload that's expected, and then how you could kind of incorporate that into what you're going to be doing whenever school starts. And for all of us, it seems like we get started a little earlier and earlier, but we're mid-August this year. So,
and is the earlier and earlier starts? Is it just because of like the rigor in the course and the process and all that?
I don't know. Maybe, they put it out to teachers every year on they don't want to go past Memorial Day. And if we want a long Christmas break, well, then we have to start a little earlier. The amount of days doesn't change. We have to do the same amount. So if we want a longer Christmas break or a longer Easter break, and we want to be done by Memorial Day, then we just have to start a little earlier. So I guess that's open and it can fluctuate, but it seems that most teachers want to do those things. So that just means we start a little, closer to the beginning of August than we used to.
Or is it because of the football season?
Well, we're looking forward to that too. The school year doesn't revolve around football season, depending on who you talk to, but it's an important part, and sports is an important part of what happens in high school. So, and football season starting a little earlier this year too in Illinois. So, yeah.
Well, I figure actually for you, considering the involvement you have with Tommy TV, maybe it would help. So there you go. In terms of the students who are going to essentially be in the class this year, I guess, what is it like in terms of when those initial steps start? I know you mentioned the orientation, but in terms of kind of thinking about what their business is going to be, do you have students who tell you that they're thinking about it during the summer to buy themselves extra time? What's that like?
Some of them I know of, and I think that's always a concern. There's, people come in thinking that they have to have an idea for their own personal business, and we kind of run two different things simultaneously. We're trying to raise funds, so we will brainstorm a class business, but as far as their and we will run those even up. We started at the beginning of October last year, so we've been at Chili Fest the last few years with our first business. But with regard to the individual business, some of them have an idea. Some of them come in and they are doing something. They're looking to maybe grow that a little bit. But to be honest with you, that's not generally the case. A lot of them don't have a clue, and that is completely fine. So, we're going on tours. We have different speakers come in, and there's people that they're connecting with, and then each one of the students gets a mentor. So they really get to kind of think about that through the first half of school. And then when we come back in after Christmas break, we're really dialing in on what do you want to do? And then that's when they start getting some of the money that they worked hard to get the first half to get that started. So what do you want to do? What are you good at? What do you like doing? And what kind of need are you filling? And then start playing around with that. But we get kids that change their mind, and I'm completely fine with that. At least it gets them thinking about entrepreneurship and what their role is going to be. And I think that, that's just an important skill, whether or not you want to go work for someone or not, just learning what the skills are of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's quite the process. And I just give so much credit, every time I hear about this stuff to any student who goes through the program and, comes away with something. And, even if it's just, the knowledge of how to run a business, how to interact with people in that sense, I think it's just incredibly fascinating. And I love hearing about it. So that's really cool. Something else I was kind of thinking of asking is, for the juniors who are not in the program this coming year, but are thinking about maybe coming in, or, even sophomores or freshmen, what would you kind of suggest that they, do or think about until, it's time next year to, get into the program and get ready for it?
Sure. So the class is open to juniors, incoming juniors, and seniors. And we've been pretty open with the idea and the notion that we prefer seniors, but your schedule may not allow. And so we've not had many juniors over the years, but this year, actually, we're going to have a couple more. And I talked with them, met with them, just kind of asking why. And of course, it's a schedule thing. And some of them, they've got a business idea already. So I'm completely fine with that. But, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, I have students that'll come to me there at THS primarily and kind of ask and just get in and try to make some money. And it's easy to do now. You have your cell phone and you could open up TikTok shop and go into the garage and start selling stuff. I mean, the tools are at your fingertips and it's real easy to do. And sometimes the hardest part is just getting started, or you don't want to be told like, no, I don't want to buy that, or just being rejected. That can be difficult, but just getting started with something that you like doing. They could be selling lemonade out, and I drive by and I always stop by and I see someone selling a cup of lemonade. Like I'll go buy. Like that is just the mindset of want to go out and earn a few dollars. And then what do you want to do with the few dollars? And then how can you make that grow? Because the pattern is the pattern, whether you're making $100 or you're 1,000 or even more than that.
Yeah, no, that is lovely. And it's like I said, awesome to hear about. I'm talking right now with Neil Hohenstein, facilitator of the Christian County CEO program. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
AgriTalk is the radio talk show for American agriculture. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Chip Flory. We join you weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on WTIM on AM and FM and on the WTIM streams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on your ag information station, WTIM.
Finding a local job in Central Illinois has never been easier. Don't waste time driving far or spending too much on gas. Visit IllinoisJobPost.com. It's your one-stop site to find local, full-time, and part-time job openings. Best of all, it's completely free for job seekers to access anytime, day or night. So if you're ready to land a job close to home, make IllinoisJobPost.com your first stop. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. Brought to you by your friends at the regional radio station.
Hey, Julie, did you know that in the 1960s, 92% of Americans listened to local radio every week? What do you think it is now?
I don't know, but I bet it's a lot less.
Would you believe that it's still 92%?
Wait, you mean more people listen to radio than TV?
Oh, yeah. More people are listening to local radio than ever before. Most of us just don't realize it.
Okay, well, what about smartphones, computer, and tablets?
Yes, more people use local radio every week than any other device. It's because often we're doing something like driving the car or doing something at home. Virtually everyone listens to local radio every week.
I know I listen. I just didn't realize that everyone else does too.
92% of Americans listen every week. You are right now. Thanks. This message brought to you by your local area radio stations. You can count on us.
Here are the contest rules for our stations. We allow one person per household to win any prize from the radio stations in a 30-day period. Unless otherwise stated, all prizes to Christian County winners are to be picked up within 2 weeks at the studios at 918 East Park in Taylorville. Our office hours are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays. Winners outside of Christian County will have their prize mailed. Any cash prize is mailed within 30 days of winning. Only if cash winners call our business line within 2 weeks of their name being drawn to provide their mailing address. Employees and their families of regional radio are not eligible to participate or win any contest.
Hi, this is Will Perkins with Taylorville Community Credit Union. Find out about all the products and services we provide by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
At Taylorville Estates Assisted Living, life feels lighter with helping hands always nearby and activities that bring people together. Every day offers comfort and connection. From shared meals to shared moments, it's a place that feels like family. Discover the joy waiting at Taylorville Estates Assisted Living. Click their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. It's sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Neil Hohenstein, the facilitator of the Christian County CEO program. And we talked about what the summer's like for him and for students, and the buildup to another year of the program. And we were talking during the break. It sounds like you made a documentary about the CEO program, about some of the businesses, and I'd love to hear more about it.
Sure. So I didn't make the documentary. So there's an idea as CEO, just a fun thing to get started, to make a little money. It's called a 1 to 100, and it's a challenge. And we did it a couple years ago. Matter of fact, the class of 2024, I believe, was the last year we did it. And I went to every student, give them a $1 bill, and your job is to turn this into $100. We have 2 weeks and go. So they turned that into a documentary, and it was 2 competing CEO programs in Alabama. And we got to actually preview it at the Facilitator retreat, not this last year, not just last one, but the one before then. So this has been in the works for a long time. And it was about an hour and a half, 45 minutes. And the final product that just came out the day before yesterday, the documentary is 40 minutes. But what it does, it shows what's going on behind the scenes, that these students are trying to figure out ways to generate some income. And they only have a week to do it, or 8 days, I think. So it's great that some of the kids I don't have time, but trying to mitigate. Well, I'm on the basketball team, I'm on this, and I'm doing that. And it was all around Valentine's Day a couple years ago. So, it really shows the kids pushing themselves, and some of the kids made turned $1 into 1,500. So they call it fair market value. So the idea is, like, you just can't go call your grandma and like, hey, I need $100. I got this stupid thing going. You have to write down. So you have to document your time so you can kind of go back and see, and how you're able to make that $1. And so a lot of them are doing work. And like the one kid he had a pressure washer, and he put like a third of a gallon of gas in it with his $1, and so he could run his pressure washer, go make some money. But some of the kids having to deal with failure and having to deal with resilience. And then one of the best lines I heard was one of the kids said, I didn't know that I could work 12 hours a day. And I'm like, yeah. And entrepreneurs do that all the time, and you can, and you're capable. And if you push yourself, you can really do amazing things. And that's really what one of the highlights of that is you push yourself. And then they got to keep the money. And then what the added part that they didn't know is that Midland actually threw into the winning 4 people from the 2 programs, that they doubled their money again. And so a couple of these kids made a couple $1,000s over a couple of weeks, and they're like, give them permission. Like, I can do this. I can work hard. I am I'm very busy. And our students are real busy, especially the ones that are in CEO, and a lot of them in Tommy TV, and just they understand the value of hard work, and then they're tying that with money, and then getting some real success from that. But also having to deal with the failures, which is like that's part of the game. Failure comes with it. Maybe you learn to iterate. Maybe you come up with something better, a better idea, a better product, and maybe you make a different contact from that. So yeah, it's real cool. It's a real cool video, and I just got to watch it just the other night and see what they actually made changes to before the final product. So.
Okay, and then to clarify, you were not involved in the creation.
I was not involved.
Okay,
in that.
I'm sorry. I thought, you mentioned the documentary, and I had sort of figured that it would be fitting for you to be involved, considering your work in Tommy TV. So I guess apologies to whoever actually created it for the fact that I gave someone else credit.
Well, but and the guy that started CEO, Craig Limbaugh, it is hard. He was a videographer. He worked for the Cincinnati Reds. So this just fills in with that. So, thanks for thanking me in that nature, but they use it as a marketing piece, but also just to kind of show, like, you can do it. You can do amazing things. And then, from all of that, to publish that into a 40-minute documentary. And of course, when I watched it, I'm looking at it through the Tommy TV lens. I'm looking at how things are framed up and how the audio sounds. And so, there's that part too, because I'm thinking, well, I wonder if we could do something like that, or is there something from that we can, get an idea from, and that's part of the entrepreneurial process as well.
Okay. No, that's really cool. I love the idea of the documentary. I love how it turned out, and
Not mine.
It was great stuff. No, it was not Neil Hohenstein's, but you could think it was, considering, again, the work he does at Tommy TV. So No, that's really cool. I'll tell you what, we're into the final minute. Where can folks go to get more information on the CEO program and what's happening this year?
Sure, you can reach out to me and I'll get you to the right spot. So there's there are a lot of opportunities, whether it's if you want to invest in money, we have mentors, set up a tour. We can come and talk to you and you can kind of tell us your story and talk us through your business. So there are a lot of avenues that you can do that, but the easiest way is just to get a hold of me. My cell is 217-827-6918. And then my email is Hohenstein@tcusd3.org.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville.
96.1 FM Taylorville.
107.5 FM Shelbyville.
107.9 FM Pena Nokomis.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. During a visit to Capitol Hill today, President